Okay, I thought a video would be a lot quicker to get what I'm thinking is going on with ground balance. For the last 3-4 weeks, I've been researching and I've got a few detectors and doing ground balance, neutral, positive, zero ground balance, this, that and the other. So there's a lot of people saying that they're losing depth on the legend. Now, the only time I've lost depth on the legend to decent sized targets, not small targets, is using zero ground balance. I've got a test card in the back garden here. I just keep going over and over and over. Now, with a negative ground balance, what happens is it quietens the ground down. So, say if you're looking for something shallow, and this is the reason for a negative ground balance, it quietens the ground down and you will pick up the small items will sound because you cannot hear any ground noise whatsoever. Now, the cons of this is that if you run too much negative ground balance, you will lose a noticeable depth. And this is what I've researched, and then I've put it into practical, and I have found that with a positive, you will gain depth, but you can lose targets to the ground because the ground will be lively, but it's more of an advanced setting running a positive than a negative, because it's with time and time and time and time of using it, you can tell on, say, a patch of quite lively ground, what is the ground and what is the target. You can pluck it out, and it's all in the audio. It's all in the audio. Now, with a neutral ground balance, which is the best because your VDI will be better, your depth, the performance of a detector and neutral ground balance is the best you can get, because you get the best of both worlds. Now, this is the thing with zero ground balance. Have people been realising when they run zero ground balance that the detector is really quiet? That's because zero ground balance is actually negative ground balance, because all ground has some mineralisation in. All ground. The UK does. My ground is full of coke, which is mineralised rock. Iron in England has been in the ground a long time. And some of that iron that was there 2,000 years ago won't be there now. It would have leached into the ground totally and mineralised the ground. Slurry. So have you ever gone over a cow pat? It's full of salts and minerals, and it mineralised, and it sets a reacts to it. You think you've got a signal underneath, but it isn't. It's the minerals in the cow dung. Now, over here, they spread that all over the land every year, maybe 2-3 times a year. With the water moisture, with the rain, that seeps into the ground. It's making it mineralised. Over here, though, I get mineralised patches because horses will use a toilet. So if you go on the field and there's long grass in a patch, that is where the horses use that to piss. Now, cows just do it everywhere, but horses are quite clean in a way, you know. So you will see that patch, but then the farmer comes along and he cuts the grass. He cuts the grass. Now I find these patches because all of a sudden my detector becomes unstable. So then I'll run a negative to take away the mineralisation in that ground. But on most open fields, neutral is the best to go. I do like having, you do get extra depth with a bit of a positive. If too much positive, like with too much negative, the ground kind of masks the good targets, but you can tune yourself into that. So just say you go out with your detector, any detector, and you pump the coil, it could come up, just say on the Legend, it could come up 16. Right? Now, if you're going all the way back down to 0 from 16, that's a big negative ground balance. It'll run quiet, but I know because of my tests, and I've been doing it intensely for about 3 or 4 weeks. And you will lay them small targets because the ground is quiet through the audio. But you lose out on the deeper targets. Now, maybe other people might know a bit more than that, but this is, I've read books and it's always been this way. The best way to ground balance is manual. All the detectors I've used, apart from an analog, when you ground balance, it's not ground balancing bang on. Now, a detector that hasn't got a ground balance feature normally runs a bit positive anyway. That's how they make them. They make them with a positive ground balance. Let's look at camera. So when I've ground balanced, you've got a push and pull sound. Now, neutral is hardly any sound or no sound. Let me go back to the best detector I ground balance with is an analog machine, because there's no automatic ground balance on it. There's no auto. So you get it, so there's no sound whatsoever. Now, if you automatic ground balance with the Legend, the MINELAB, what else have I used? That's been multi. All detectors, all digital detectors that I've automatic ground balanced, if I walk 2 steps or just do a manual, there's always a push or a pull on it. The only way you can ground balance bang on to get neutral is to manual ground balance. Now, I'm going on a bit, but it's just I'm seeing a lot of people, I know people who says run 0 ground balance, and it does make the machine run quieter, but you've got to realise that you're going to lose out depth, but the smaller targets and even the deeper targets to some point will shine through, but you are running a negative ground balance. So, yeah, if you're having problems with depth, just try, do an automatic ground balance and then do a manual, because it'll get you near enough there. And get it so it's either, with these digital detectors compared to the analog will just give no noise. With the digital ones, you still get a bit of a push and a bit of a pull noise, but you just want them to be the same volume. I don't think that these digital detectors, especially the multi, are ground balancing as good as the analog machines. From what I've tested. Now, that was a long video, and I'd like, if anybody knows or thinks that I'm talking absolutely coswobble, is that a word? Yeah, let me know. But the ground balance does make a major difference. If you get it wrong, your machine is not going to perform right. Running a negative as 0 ground balance will stabilise the machine, but it will not be performing at maximum performance. Only a neutral ground balance will. VDI will be better, depth will be better. The identification, because you're normalising the detector. That ground is a signal. You're normalising it for the detector to decipher what's good and what's bad in the ground. All right, sorry about the long video. It's just that would have took me ages to text. Okay, thank you. Any feedback would be great, thanks.